Good morning. I'm Kylie Brooks, Student Unit Chair on the Board of Directors. Like many of us here, I have been having a great time, and I've certainly enjoyed connecting with friends and colleagues while gaining new knowledge about family and consumer sciences. At this time, I'd like to extend a warm welcome to those who are joining us virtually today. Although we wish you were here in person, we are so happy you are able to join us via internet live stream. And now, please help me welcome our association's Executive Director, Carolyn Jackson, CFCS, to the stage.
Good morning from me, too. While the annual conference is a time to really look ahead and plan for the next year, it's also a time to reflect on the last year. And I'm so pleased that there are colleagues and students here with me this morning that will help share just a few of the highlights of this last year. Are we in position? Okay, it looks like it. Here to showcase the Youth Obesity Summit sponsored by the Board on Human Sciences is Billy Collier, past chair of the BOHS, and Linda Fox, Dean of the College of Family and Consumer Sciences at University of Georgia. They're joined by Kaylin Larson, National President of FCCLA, and she's going to share with us her response, or our response, to a media moment that we had relative to the topic of obesity prevention. Billy?
Thank you, Carolyn. Can you hear me? With obesity being such a major societal... No, you can't.
Or just closer to yours.
Can you hear me now? With obesity being such a major societal issue, we wanted to emphasize the niche we have as family and consumer sciences professionals within this topic. And certainly, as many of you know, family and consumer sciences and human sciences are well positioned to be leaders in addressing this issue of childhood obesity because we look at the child, the individual, holistically and in the context of the family, where decisions are made and behaviors are modeled. It was really affirming at our summit to see the speakers and participants acknowledge the value of our profession and the capacity it has for leadership in tackling this national problem. We especially wanted to showcase the obesity prevention outreach programs from our member institutions. Outreach is a significant part of the mission for land-grant universities, and we have the research-based knowledge and theories to support the programs that we take into the field. Linda, you supported a large number of participants from Georgia who came to the summit. What types of return on investment have you seen or are you planning as follow-up to the summit?
Thank you, Billy. Indeed, we had 16 of the 100 participants that were from University of Georgia, and we strategized so that we had county family and consumer sciences educators, 4-H agents and specialists, evaluation specialists, and faculty from our departments that are in teaching and research, because it's important that we have the systems approach and that we would take the information from the summit and add to the capacity of the 12 teams that we have at University of Georgia for our university-wide obesity initiative. A couple of things that we've done immediately was apply the information from the presenters, and the material is on the website. So I encourage you, whether you participated or not, to go to the website, www.thebohs.org, and get the summaries and the presentations. Our participants went back to our campus and really energized and put in place many things learned. We applied the information from the Smarter Lunchroom programs from Cornell University with our trainings for school lunchroom supervisors at our certificate program that was held just a couple of weeks ago on campus. We've energized by working with the NIFA USDA grant proposals opportunities and have put 4-H professionals that work with youth, with family and consumer sciences for what we think will be some great grant-funded opportunities in our communities. And we've also applied the information from the summit related to food pantries. It's really important, as you all know, that we have increased quality of food and acceptance of the food and personalized approach to food pantry clienteles. We learned that at the summit, and we've applied that in Georgia. So I urge all of us to take those resources, and I'm pleased that AAFCS and Board of Human Sciences work together for this summit, because it's up to all of us to make the healthier choice the easy choice.
Thank you, and I think Linda highlighted one of the other takeaways from the summit, which is developing these partnerships with the food pantries, with the school lunches, and things like that. Thank you so much, Linda. A New York Times editorial by Helen Zovite, assistant professor of history at Michigan State University, suggests that education on food preparation in public schools could help address the childhood obesity problems facing Americans today. This is similar to the May 2010 article in the Journal of the American Medical Association that many of you read, I know. And now the AMA has voted to support legislation that mandates annual obesity education to our schools, and certainly we should be very involved in that. Kaylin, on my right here, is going to tell us about some FCS classes and the FCCLA programs that address the childhood obesity epidemic.
Thank you, Billy. Well, on top of having a national program solely dedicated to eating right, being fit, and making healthy choices, Student Body, we've got a wide variety of youth programs that youth can compete in, as well as are used as evaluations in the Family Consumer Sciences classroom. To start off, we've got a nutrition and wellness event where students learn about counting calories, and they develop a whole nutrition plan for a community group or a family member. We've got food innovations where students learn about focus groups and marketing and all sorts of things related to a certain issue, depending on the year. We've got, this year we have a new online STAR event that was dedicated to our Student Body program. So students had to come up, using Glogster.edu, had to come up with a virtual poster just dedicated to a student body issue. And they're very cool, they're very interactive. A lot of you probably already know what Glogster.edu is. We've got a Family and Consumer Sciences Knowledge Bowl. And on top of many other of the Family Consumer Sciences national standards, students are tested knowledge on their nutrition and on food science related topics. So students that compete in the Family Consumer Sciences Knowledge Bowl, which is quite the variety of students, they all have studied and are well educated on many of the nutrition related issues in the Family Consumer Sciences classroom. We have a National Programs in Action event where chapters can utilize a national program, not limited to Student Body, but many do use Student Body, to put the national program into action and do some sort of community outreach effort. We are partnered with Share Our Strength, No Kid Hungry, for our national outreach project. And all of their fundraisers nationally are food-based, as well. The Great American Bake Sale, the Great American Dine Out, all sorts of things that are all food-based. And this has been our national program starting this year, and it'll continue into 2015. And students are doing all food-related fundraisers to raise money and service learning type projects for No Kid Hungry. And lastly, along with AAFCS, we are working with the Michelle Obama Let's Move campaign. And we are very excited to have this partnership and hopefully seeing it grow in the next few years. Back to you, Billy.
Thank you. It's great to see such efforts from our future leaders. And now, Carolyn, it's back to you.
Thank you, team. Leslie Watkins, who is president of the Family and Consumer Sciences Division of ACTE, and Matthew Bloom, a career and technical education, it says student, but you've graduated, so you're a graduate now, of Benjamin Logan High School. They're here to share a highlight from our personal and family finance content area. Leslie?
I'm so excited to meet you, Matt, and talk with you about your experiences as representing AAFCS to be a part of the White House Summit on Financial Capability and Empowerment, and to serve on the youth panel discussion that was moderated by the U.S. Secretary of Education, Arnie Duncan. And so we're excited about that, and I just congratulate you. You were one of 2 family and consumer science students out of a 3-member panel. And so I just would love to hear a little bit about that and why you got interested in personal finance and managing money.
As a young child, I saw my family go through some financial struggles, and I saw how much stress it put them through, and I just told myself I didn't want to have to go through that. So I did everything that I could to try to inform myself on finances, but as a young child, you don't really understand exactly what that is. So I asked my parents, and pretty much the only thing that I could understand is that they were going to open a savings account for me, and that's the only thing that I could really, like I said, understand. So they opened a savings account for me, and I got a job at 11 years old. And when everyone else was, once their parents gave them money, they would go out and buy the newest, coolest toy or the newest Xbox, and I'd be putting my money in a savings account, and they were all laughing at me because I didn't have the coolest, newest toy, but they're not laughing now.
We're really up on this. So what do you think is different about learning money management in a family and consumer science class from the one that you took part, or you could take part in from an economics or business class?
In my family and consumer science class, it more focused on the financial aspects instead of unlike the other classes, and it kind of put my life in perspective and showed me exactly why I need to know about finances and why it's so important to manage my money and why it's so important to budget. It's important to learn that at a young age, and they showed me exactly what could happen if I didn't learn how to do this.
Why do you think it's mandatory that students take a personal and family finance class?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not mandatory at every school to have a personal finance class, but it should be, because if we don't educate these young adults going into life on finances, then it's pretty much like we're letting these young adults go into life blindfolded, because they're not going to know how to manage their money and they're not going to know how to budget. And the first thing a young adult wants to do is, I want to move out of my house, I want to buy this, I want to buy that, and I want to get credit cards, and I can spend as much money as I want. That's not true. You can't do that. And they don't understand that they have to know about this kind of stuff. So, and it's not that we want these young adults to learn about personal finance. It's not that they should know about personal finance. It's that they have to know about finance. And in this complex world, if we don't educate these young adults on how to manage their money, then I don't know how they're going to become successful.
Great job. We're proud of you, Matthew, and your teacher, Lois Stahl. And also Family Consumer Sciences college student Precious Collier and her professor, Mary Ann Campbell from the University of Central Arkansas. And we thank you for being with us today, Matt. Back to you, Carolyn.
Thanks. Next, Carol Chandler, President-elect of the National Extension Association of Family and Consumer Sciences, and Michael Benjamin, Executive Director of FCCLA, will share concepts on making an impact. No.
How about now? NAAFCS reports accomplishments of its members in the forms of creating impact statements annually for a number of content areas. We ask our members to report what they've been doing in their home communities, and we collect that information and find common threads that we can report on to show the impact of the programming that we are doing in our communities. The 7 areas that we collected information on this for 2012 were childhood obesity, financial management, food, nutrition, and health, food safety, healthy homes and the environment, protecting our resources, family life, and improving children's lives, early childhood. We use these impact statements once they are prepared to share information with our federal, state, and local funders that we want to show what the importance of our profession is and the impact that we can have in our local communities and beyond that. We particularly use these federally because each spring the Joint Council of Extension Professionals holds a conference to help members learn to be better advocates for extension and their particular subject matter areas. So we work with the family and consumer science educators. We share these impacts with them, and they have copies to take with them. And as part of that conference, we go to Capitol Hill and talk to our state legislators and our local representatives. And so we not only have information to share with them from our own states, but from across the country, and we also then have something we can leave with them to document the information that we have shared. We also encourage our members then to use this template that we have for these impact statements to create the same kind of report for their state legislators back in their own states, as well as their county legislators, who also are one of our funding partners. So we have found these to be very useful. We've done this for a number of years. We think it's an important way to share with these people who are an important partner in our work how we have an impact both locally, statewide, and across the country.
Thank you very much, Carol. Obesity, military families, personal and family finance education, the economy's impact on families, and emotionally healthy families. These are the 5 topic areas we have determined that could get the most media exposure for family and consumer sciences. AAFCS sponsored a workshop and invited those of us that serve as member organizational representatives to the FCS Alliance to come together and help determine the impact professionals in the field have in each of these areas. Because of my experiences in mental health issues, I was in the group on emotionally healthy families, and we discussed the impact families and consumer science programs are having on such issues as cyberbullying, which today is very important for families. And so, Carolyn, let me throw it back to you.
Thank you, team. Jan Bowers, Program Chair for the 2012 Conference for the Council of Administrators in Family and Consumer Sciences, and Beverly Samuel, National Program Leader developing the National USDA NIFA Master FCS Volunteer Program, are here to share a little bit about how they're using our new brand for the field of family and consumer sciences, the logo, and the key messages. Jan?
Thank you, Carolyn. For their annual conference, the Council of Family Consumer Science Administrators used external speakers to identify the new expectations of education for increasing student success. After we heard from the keynote speakers, we used best practice panels from our own colleagues to identify how our profession prepares students to live, work, and succeed in today's society. The final step of our conference design was to prepare our FCS administrators for telling the public and policymakers about our contributions to student success. And because our profession serves diverse disciplines and uses a variety of related program names, we realized that it was critical to use a consistent branding image and consistent message to represent our collective efforts. Council of Family Consumer Science Administrators is using the branding image and the branding messages created by the FCS Alliance to identify our unique field, to unify our efforts, and to increase the national impact and visibility of our profession. We really do appreciate the leadership role that AAFCS has played in bringing the Alliance together to create the branding image and the messages. So thank you, Carolyn, for the great work you've done.
The Master Family and Consumer Science program is currently under development at USDA at the National Institute of Food and Agriculture, and it will be launched within the upcoming year. We've used the branding with the newly developed modules that represent 13 areas that will be forthcoming. We're excited about using this branding, and we know the importance of having the family consumer sciences story being told, so that's part of what we have focused on. Volunteers will be learning the history of family consumer sciences as well as subject matter topical areas, and we're aware that a lot of states already have information related to subject matter, but we are developing a program that will bring all of volunteers under one umbrella to represent family and consumer sciences. And it's modeled very much like the Master Gardener program, and they will be gaining information holistically about family consumer sciences and be able to tell our story more effectively to leadership, to public policy, and those who are decision makers about funding. So we're really excited to be a part of this initiative that help brand family consumer sciences, and the Master Family and Consumer Science program will be one that we all will be excited about and can help spread the word about family consumer sciences and actually promote it on a wide-scale basis, on a national basis, because you'll be able to take a part in this program in the upcoming year. Thank you. It's back to you, Carolyn.
Thank you. The Family and Consumer Science Alliance was formed in 2006 for the purpose of bringing together FCS-related organizations. We wanted to leverage our limited resources, and they always are limited, right, for maximum positive impact for the field of family and consumer sciences. Each organization listed on the slide today shows that they are a member of the FCS Alliance, and they are represented by the elected officials from their organizations as well as the chief staff officers. So those of you who are here today as representatives from the FCS member alliance organizations, if you'd please stand, let's wave our flags. Who brought their flags today? Wave our flags and salute them for the work they've done with these organizations. The number one priority for the Alliance in 2011-12 was to educate, or is, it's still going on, educate internal and external audiences about the value and the contributions of family and consumer sciences to our society. We've been doing that through lots of planning for a media tour. We hope to have a lot to share with you next year about that. We've also now introduced a Facebook page for the field of family and consumer sciences, so we can have public dialogue about the passions that we have for our profession and the uniquenesses of our profession. A leadership and action strategy for maximizing impact is to have some degree of centralized focus and a delivery system with information and products. So AAFCS now has 3 such homes for this delivery. The centers are consolidation of products and services for the field of family and consumer sciences. And describing the experiences and support for AAFCS centers today are, for the Family and Consumer Sciences Credentialing Center, we have Dr. Caroline Krokel, CFCS, Director of the Division of Family and Consumer Sciences at USDA's National Institutes of Food and Agriculture. For the Family and Consumer Sciences Research Center, we have Dr. Karen Alexander, Associate Professor and Program Director for Family and Consumer Sciences Education at Texas Tech. And joining us virtually, and there she is, for the Family and Consumer Sciences Professional Development Center is Mary Jo Cole, former department or education consultant for Ohio's Department of Education. So now let's hear from each of our colleagues.
Thank you, Carolyn. Well, I'm certainly a proponent of credentials that validate professional competency, and I think that I've demonstrated that by maintaining a lot of different certifications over the years, but one that I'm particularly proud of is my certification, my CFCS certification in Family and Consumer Sciences that I've achieved through AAFCS and maintained over the years. And it's one of the things that I look for when I'm hiring staff, and I'm very proud to say that several of our staff have CFCS, including our AAFCS president, Susan Shockey. I see Family and Consumer Sciences Credentialing Center certifications for professionals and for pre-professionals as quality assurance tools to be highly valued by employers. As I oversee and administer the Division of Family and Consumer Sciences and really look at what's happening with national program leadership in research, higher education, and extension programs through USDA NIFA, it's critical to me that we strongly encourage credentialing in your particular field. So I would certainly advocate that a certification is, if it's available in one's area of training or assignment, that it should be considered essential. And the Family and Consumer Sciences Credentialing Center certifications are critical to what we do. So I strongly encourage you to seek that out and to encourage that in your students as well.
Good morning. In addition to my role as teacher educator at Texas Tech University, I serve as the chair for the National Coalition for Family and Consumer Sciences Education. While in Washington in March, representing the National Coalition and meeting with policymakers, we heard a common theme: where's your data? I strongly believe that family and consumer sciences education and all other areas of our field will benefit immensely from the Research Center's priority of providing focus and access to research in the field. Not only does research establish evidence-based knowledge for implementation in all areas of family and consumer sciences, research documents effectiveness and deficiencies through which our field achieves recognition and can attain higher standards.
Mary Jo, you're on.
In my tenure at the Ohio Department of Education, one of my primary responsibilities was to provide professional development for family consumer science teachers in the state. I truly believe that the creation of the Family Consumer Science Professional Development Center and its combination of on-site and virtual training events allowed me to do my job better. I gladly promote the use of the outstanding webinars provided through Family Consumer Science Professional Development Centers as a strategy for being able to expand the scope of professional development opportunities available. Access to quality professional development at an affordable price promotes improved performance and increased stature as a profession.
Join me in thanking our colleagues for their words of perspective and wisdom about our centers. And actually, one more round of applause for all of these leaders in action. Now I'd like to welcome to the stage Director at Large, Nancy Kronowski, CFCS.
Good morning, and thank you, Carolyn. We're thrilled today to have Cassandra McConnell with us. Ms. McConnell is the Deputy Assistant Director in the Office of Financial Education at the relatively new Consumer Financial Protection Bureau of our federal government. The Office of Financial Education is responsible for developing and implementing initiatives intended to educate and empower consumers to make informed financial decisions. Ms. McConnell is responsible for providing leadership and direction for the development, implementation, and assessment of the Bureau's financial education programs, policies, and systems. Ms. McConnell is a native of Cleveland, Ohio, earned her Juris Doctor from Cleveland Marshall College of Law, her Master of Public Administration from Cleveland State University's Maxine Goodman Levin College of Urban Affairs, and her Bachelor of Science from Cleveland State University. Please join me in welcoming Cassandra McConnell.
Good morning, everyone. I think this is on. Okay. I am very, very honored to be here with you this morning and extend my congratulations to what looks to be a fantastic conference. The folks that I've talked to in the elevators and on the stairways, and then just what we heard today, just kind of proves all of the great work that you all are doing across the country. And so I salute each of you today, as well as all of the members of AAFCS. And thank you so much for the invitation to join you today. So a couple of things that I want to talk about. One, I think that this theme is exactly on point for what's going on in personal finance right now. It sets the right tone for people to connect together, for people to get things done, and that's the work that we really need to continue to work on in financial education. And now, as you all know, and I know AAFCS does, the first thing you have to do when you want to get something done is to have a plan. I know I'm a list maker. Maybe I'm the only one in the room, but I got to have a plan. And one of the things that I was thinking about as I was developing my remarks is something that I use often is my GPS. And so maybe you all have a GPS in your car or on your phone. I personally hate being lost. I can't stand it. But I have this love-hate relationship with my GPS system. So I love it because it helps me not be lost, right? It always kind of has its routes and tells me what we need to do. And then I hate it sometimes because, well, why did you take me this way? I could have, just went this way. So we have these interesting conversations in my car with my GPS system that I won't bore you with this morning, but they are it's a fantastic tool. And the point that I think about the GPS is that it really sets out a plan. And just as the AAFCS has set out its plan around credentialing and quality insurance, particularly around personal finance, I wanted to share with you some of the plans that are going on at a national level that I think also connects with a lot of the work that you all are doing as well. So I want to start by talking about the National Strategy for Financial Literacy. I hope that you are familiar with it. If not, I encourage you to become familiar with it. This is the national strategy that's currently being implemented. The national strategy was actually created by the Financial Literacy and Education Commission, known as FLEC, or the Commission. And the commission is composed of 21 federal agencies to promote financial literacy. One of FLEC's primary responsibilities is to develop a national strategy that promotes financial literacy and education. The purpose of the national strategy is to create an overarching strategic framework to guide the work of all the key stakeholders involved in personal finance education, research, and policy. The vision of the national strategy is really to sustain financial well-being of U.S. individuals and families. The vision fosters a culture in which everyone has the information and tools needed to help manage debt, save to meet financial goals, and plan for secure financial futures. I thought when Matt talked about his friends aren't laughing now, that was like the exact point of what financial education is really all about. The mission and goals, along with the objectives, all are designed to help move the nation towards that vision. So let me talk a little bit about the mission. It's really to set a strategic direction for policy, education, practice, research, and coordination so that all individuals and families in the United States can have information and access to make informed financial decisions. I really want to highlight the action areas because I think it really goes along with the theme of this conference. The action areas are policy, education, practice, research, and coordination. Each of these areas are imperative to moving the nation forward, to meet the national mission. There are various stakeholders all playing different roles, from practitioners, government, academics, communities, all have an important role to play in implementing the national strategy. Not every stakeholder will be engaged in all 5 areas, but the strategy relies and needs everyone to contribute in the best way that they can. Now let's talk a little bit about the goals of the strategy. There are 4, as you can see there. The goals serve as a course of action for the field of financial education and its various stakeholders. The first goal is to increase awareness of effective financial education. So for those of us in this room, you go, well, yeah, duh. But in 2009, FINRA issued a study that showed that many individuals overestimate their financial knowledge and understanding of financial concepts. So either we have people on both sides of the continuum. We have people who don't know and don't prioritize it, and we have people who think they know, but they really don't know. And it just really kind of increases the need for financial education. So this goal emphasizes the importance for all families to be aware and have access to clear, understandable, timely, and effective, and you're going to hear me say that a lot, of financial information and educational resources. This is the foundation for consumers to make informed financial decisions. And we need to seek opportunities to share financial education through both schools, employers, as well as our financial education providers and networks. Providing unbiased, understandable financial education resources at key decision points is critical in meeting this goal. And I also think that it's important to emphasize that we all play a role here. No matter what your discipline is, no matter what area you teach, financial education is important, and particularly in the work of personal finance. So let me talk about the second goal. The second goal is to determine and integrate core financial principles. The financial principles are encouraged to be integrated in financial education programs and services to provide individuals with information that they need in these critical phases of their lives. The financial principles established by the Commission are listed here. They're earn, save and invest, protect, borrow, and spend. The principles were developed with a lot of work and discussions with practitioners, the public, and consumers. Focusing on the knowledge area is important, and we all do that. But the Commission encouraged us to even go one step further, to also focus on the positive behaviors. Again, Matt was a great example of that in his story that he shared with us this morning. It's great to know that save money is important and that save money grows. That's the knowledge. But the practice and what we have to encourage is the behaviors like saving automatically, saving systematically, putting that knowledge into action and encouraging those behaviors is really the important stuff that these principles helps us to identify and integrate into our work. The third goal is very similar to the others, and they encourage all financial education to be consistent, unbiased, and effective. These goals encourage practitioners to foster partnerships and work together to strengthen financial education efforts. I think that the work of the AAFCS in credentialing is a great contribution in this role. Finally, the fourth goal focuses on research to identify and enhance and share effective practices. We heard one of our other speakers say when they came to Washington, they said, "Where's your data?" That is often what we hear, and so we have to have that rigorous qualitative data to help us to determine kind of what is effective financial education that is often emphasized in all of these goals. This fourth goal, through rigorous research and evaluation, helps us to better understand what is effective financial education in programs and practices, and how do we duplicate those efforts. So I think that the work that the AAFCS is doing in research is very timely and very important and will add tremendously to this field. The Commission's research and evaluation group in partnership with a whole host of other players, including the President's Advisory Council on Financial Capabilities, researchers, nonprofit educators, funders, policy experts, identified 9 top priority issue areas for research. They are listed here on this slide, but the 9 areas that are listed on this slide help guide our work, particularly around research in this field. I think it's really important to note that these list of priorities is not to be construed as like a stagnant list. This is a living list of priorities, and it's really designed to guide the research and the research funding in the field of financial education. These research areas are important to help us understand what is effective and how can effective practices be duplicated. So this is a kind of a high-level overview of the national strategies, the financial principles, and the research agenda. And I encourage you to go to mymoney.gov to gain more information and to look at ways that you can also integrate your work with the national strategies. Because as I said, we all play an important role to meet that national vision. Now I want to change gears a little bit and share with you about the role of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, where I work, does to promote financial education and encourage consumers to make informed financial decisions. Just by way of background, the Consumer Protection Bureau was created by the Dodd-Frank Act of 2010. And the focus of the Bureau is to focus on consumers. We all are consumers, so the Bureau is of importance to all of us. The Bureau's job is to promote a fair, transparent, competitive marketplace for consumer financial products and services. This will benefit both consumers and consumer financial services providers. Dodd-Frank also assigns our director, Director Rich Cordray, to serve as the vice chairman of the Financial Literacy and Education Commission. So you can see that the Bureau has a vested interest in implementing the national strategy that I just shared with you. At the Bureau, the Consumer Education and Engagement Division works on empowering consumers to make financial decisions that are best for them through a wide range of consumer education efforts. The division consists of 6 offices. Let me start by talking about our special population offices that focus on promoting financial decision-making for specific populations of consumers. First, let's talk about the Office of Service Member Affairs. They're designed to ensure that military members and their families receive financial education to help them make the best financial decision. They also monitor and respond to consumer complaints and questions from military members and their families. They coordinate with federal and state agencies to improve consumer protection and military families. Just recently, the Bureau, along with the other federal regulators, issued guidance to mortgage servicers who are working with military families that receive PCS, which is Permanent Change of Service stations. Many times this requires the military families to move, and they need options to be able to change out, to sell their property and to be able to move under those orders. The guidance that was recently issued encourages mortgage servicers to work with these consumers during these transitions periods. And our colleagues in Office of Service Members Affairs played a critical role in the development of this guidance. So another special population office that we have is the Office of Older Americans, and that focuses on consumers over 62 years old and helps protect older Americans from financial fraud and exploitation, specifically through our outreach efforts, targeted initiatives, and education. This office is led by Skip Humphrey, and they are working on a whole host of initiatives that are targeting older Americans, along with their caregivers and other key groups that work with this particular population. Now I want to move to our Office of Financial Empowerment. They work to improve financial stability for lower income consumers by enhancing access to financial products and services, promoting improved financial capability, and enhancing opportunities for asset creation among working families and those new to banking and credit. Finally, our Office of Students enhances the financial decision-making capabilities of high school and college students by increasing awareness about the financial impact of decisions associated with various educational choices, and by providing tools for managing educational debt. There are two offices at the top of the slide there that you'll see that work on all consumer issues, and those are our Offices of Consumer Engagement and our Office of Financial Education. The Office of Consumer Engagement provides consumers information on specific financial decisions. Consumer engagement connects with the public and the CFPB through our website, social media, and other tools. I want to share with you a new tool that the Bureau has called Ask CFPB. And I encourage you to try the tool as well as share with us your feedback. So Ask CFPB is on our website, which is consumerfinance.gov, and it is an interactive question and answer platform that helps consumers find answers to their basic financial questions. Ask CFPB allows consumers to choose how to navigate to find the answers to the questions by either typing in their search words like credit card or reverse mortgages or student loans, or they can be specific and type in something like fees or closing costs. The tool will then provide the consumer with information. It will provide links to related questions, and you can print the responses or share them through social media like Twitter or Facebook. One of the other features of the Ask CFPB tool is to allow consumers to suggest questions to us. And this allows us to learn what consumers want to know about and to be able to share those answers through that tool. So I hope that you'll take some time, share the website and the resource with your colleagues and students as well. The other office that targets all consumers is our Office of Financial Education. The office provides consumers with information that will help them make informed financial decisions for their personal and family life goals. One of CFPB's goals is to be a trusted resource for information for both consumers and practitioners. The Financial Education Office's approach to fulfill its mandate is to develop knowledge about what is effective in financial education and provides opportunities for financial educators to learn and use effective strategies that will encourage consumers to make informed financial decisions. The Bureau is also developing consumer-focused materials in plain, everyday language that will inform, motivate, and help consumers achieve their own personal goals. The Bureau has many tools in its toolbox to encourage markets to work for consumers. When Congress created the Bureau, they transferred the Bureau authority, including rule writing, from many federal consumer financial statutes. This transfer ensures that all federal consumer regulations are in one place, instead of the fragmented approach of the previous years. The Bureau is positioned to make sure that consumer regulations are comprehensive. The Bureau has the authority to define acts, practices that are abusive, deceptive, and unfair, and to respond to changes in the marketplace. Dodd-Frank also created the authority of the Bureau to ensure all financial services providers, both banks and non-banks, follow the same rules. The Bureau has the authority to conduct consumer compliance-related supervision of both large banks and credit unions over $10 billion and their affiliates, and certain non-bank providers like payday lenders, mortgage brokers, private student loan markets, to ensure enforcement actions, including administrative proceedings and/or court cases against entities within our jurisdiction. At the Bureau, we place a specific emphasis on gathering input from the public, and I encourage you to share your experiences, your knowledge with us. We work very hard to build collaborative relationships with a broad variety of stakeholders. Gathering input from the public helps us gain information about consumers' experience with financial markets. Here's a few opportunities for you to put your leadership in action. Right now, the Bureau is seeking comment on prepaid cards. The Bureau is beginning the process of considering what rules should apply to general-purpose reloadable cards. More than 7 million consumers use prepaid cards. The prepaid card market is growing rapidly, with the total dollar value of funds loaded to prepaid cards expected to grow at an average annual rate of 42% from between 2010 and 2014. You have knowledge and experience, and we want to hear from you. I encourage you to share your thoughts, your experiences, what you learned from your students with us by going on our website. Another way that the Bureau gathers information is through our Consumer Response Center. The Consumer Response Center helps consumers to file complaints and connect them to useful information about financial products and services. Consumers can make inquiries, file complaints on our website, again at consumerfinance.gov, or by calling our toll-free number, which is 855-411-CFPB. The Consumer Response Functions accepts complaints on credit cards, mortgages, private student loans, and other consumer loan issues. Soon, the Consumer Response team will also accept complaints on non-depository products. This is another opportunity for consumers to communicate and work with us. Not only can we assist the consumer with the problems that they may be having, but we also learn a lot about what's going on in the marketplace and what consumers are concerned about. Another opportunity on our website to share information with the Bureau is a feature called Tell Your Story. Tell Your Story invites the public to share their experiences about financial products and services. The Bureau really wants to hear from you, both the good and the bad. We use this information to help us identify trends and areas that we should use our authorities and deploy our resources. Just this month, CFPB released a beta version of the Consumer Complaint Database. The database contains credit card complaints received by the CFPB. Now, let me assure you, none of the consumers' names, address, credit card numbers are shared. But yeah, I know that's what I said. You did what? But none of that information is shared. The release of the complaint data does create a rich data window into consumer financial issues. And this information will be widely available to everyone, developers, policymakers, journalists, academics, the industry, personal finance professionals. The goal is to improve transparency and efficiency of the credit card market and to further empower American consumers. As you can see, there are many, many routes to improve financial decision-making for consumers. And like my GPS I told you about earlier, I encourage you to explore some of these routes and find opportunities for you and your organization to impact the national vision, sustain the well-being of Americans, individuals, and families. And as I conclude, I want to leave you a few more action steps. Visit our website at consumerfinance.gov. There are many tools like Ask CFP. We have a student lending tool. We have tons of places where we ask for your opinion on various topics. Please use the resources that we have available. We're here for you, and we want to hear from you. I also hope that you will share your thoughts on prepaid cards, older Americans, and our consumer complaint database. We also have links to the national strategy and vision and research priorities, and you can also find that at mymoney.gov. The national strategy, as I said, sets the framework, but we all have to work together to promote effective financial education. And before I open it up for our question and answer, I do have a CFPB commercial, and that commercial is that we are looking for talented people. So if you know of talented folks, Please encourage them to go to our website, as well as they can contact us by email at jobs@cfpb.gov. We currently just began a Design and Technology Fellows program that is getting ready to launch this summer. We're also looking for consumer complaint investigators, so there's some huge opportunities there, and I thought this would be a great audience to share that information with. I thank you so much for your time and attention this morning. Again, I thank you for having me here. I hope that you will ask me questions. I do not bite. If I don't know, I will tell you. And I look forward to our question and answer comment time. Thank you so much. I think I'm supposed to turn it to Carolyn. All right, we'll wing it. Okay, we have some mics in the aisleways. Oh, Susan. Hi, Susan. You know I don't follow rules well, right? So we have, okay, Susan's going to tell us what we need to do.
Oh, I want to tell you, it's a pleasure to be up here with Cassandra. Cassandra and I work together with the FLEC Commission, and we are developing a speakers bureau. And so as you think of your questions and come forward, we do have microphones. I would encourage you to ask her questions about the FLEC Commission, your efforts with cooperative extension, the land-grant universities, the connection with USDA, all of that. As you come forward, Cassandra's very poised and ready to answer your questions. But your questions are really important at this time because as we move forward, Cassandra, I think I shared with you about we have an effort called Taking It to the Streets. Yeah. And so let's just think, how many minutes do we have here? 10, 15? 10. Okay, 10 minutes. So let's use our time wisely. And I'll be taking notes, too.
Me too.
Okay. E-Extension has lots and lots of resources developed. I'm wondering how mymoney.gov and or the consumerfinance.gov are linking to the resources on E-Extension.
Yeah, most of the resources that are on mymoney.gov are provided through the 21 agencies, and then the partnerships with those 21 agencies kind of point to other resources. But the idea is to try and have a centralized place where there's information. So we want to share and leverage information like what's on the sites that you develop. But if you visit those sites and you don't see that linkage, please let me know, or Susan, and then we're happy to try and work on that. Yes. Hey.
Thank you for your comments. I want to, it's sort of an add-on question on the cooperative extension system across the country.
Uh-huh.
What recommendations do you have for those of us who work within that very vast cooperative extension system in all 3,000 counties virtually of this country? How can we best help to further the vision and mission of CFPB, and likewise, how can CFPB work with us, because we do in fact extend into the communities, both to youth and adults?
Okay. That's a great question. Thank you. A couple of things. One, use us as a resource. My contact information, I'm not shy, in case you didn't notice. But you can always call me, email me as a resource. But not only me, but all of my colleagues at the Bureau are available to work with cooperative extensions and others. Partnerships are very, very important to us. I think one of the things that we can continue to do, because Gay and I were having dinner last night, and one of the things I shared is that we know that financial education didn't start when Dodd-Frank was created. There's this whole breadth of resources and knowledge that's kind of out in the field. And so I think kind of that continued working relationship together, alignment of our efforts, I think is really, really important, and really helping to collect the data. I think you're in a great position to help us collect that data so that we can tell the story of the importance of financial education, both to policymakers, researchers, and others that impact our work. Are there other questions? There was one up here. Okay. Low income. Uh-huh. That's right. That's really the question was, the special I talked about the special population areas, but what about everybody else? So that falls under the Office of Financial Education, which I'm a part of. And we're responsible for the other 300 plus million people in the country to promote financial education. And so that is really, when I talked about the two blocks that were on the top of that slide that work with all consumers, that's really where those efforts are going to be. So using the tools like Ask CFPB, providing information on the website, social media, those kinds of things, and then creating this plain English resources and having them available. Because as the FINRA study said, there are people who overestimate, which is what I think you are referencing, their knowledge and information. And so to have that available so that they can check their great knowledge, I think is something that's really important. And that's really what the Office of Financial Education is focusing on. And figuring out what's the best way to reach that population as well. And that's that effective financial education piece. Yes, ma'am.
I heard you say several times that prepaid cards or prepaid debit cards. During my travels here from Houston twice, my husband and I were trying to set aside funds for travel and gas, and we decided to use a prepaid card just set aside for gas. Twice at the pump, they held $74, in which we were not going to use our gas tank did not require that we use $74. But each time we put in the prepaid Visa card, it automatically took away $74. And so I just wanted to know if you knew that. Is that the kind of story that you want me to address on the website so that people know that? And another thing we found out is that automatically they will attach a 20% gratuity at a restaurant, even though when you get your receipt, you also will add a gratuity. They will automatically impose 20% in addition to that, and you would not have known that automatically. So is that also the kind of story you want?
That's exactly the kind of story.
Okay.
That's exactly. And I encourage you to kind of go on our website, send in letters to let us know those experiences. Those are the kinds of things that we want to know that consumers are experiencing as we're considering a rulemaking and the authorities that we have in addressing this market so that it works for consumers. So those are the kinds of things. And even if there are other financial products, not prepaid cards, that's really what that feature Tell Your Story is all about. Okay. It's really to be able to share that information with the Bureau. And let me promise you that information at our Bureau does not go into a black hole or in a box or you never hear about it. We really use that information as we're considering decisions within the Bureau that really help impact markets.
Okay, last comment.
Yes.
I don't know how I'm going to get back home because they're still holding it, and they held it for 2 weeks. 2 weeks they're holding that money, our gas money, that we set aside particularly for gas.
Yeah, you got my consumer complaint number, right?
I will.
All right, thank you, ma'am. That's where they will help you. Yes?
Well, first of all, I'm not going to use a Visa card to pay for my gas, so thank you very much. I'd rather spend my $74 at the mall down the street and help with the local economy. I'm in the state director for Family Consumer Sciences Education in the state of Kansas, and I'm making a comment in regards to the training of our family consumer science education professionals come through the educational training in our universities. I wondered if your entity is planning to recognize that a majority of our schools who have still retained their family consumer science education departments already have trained individuals knowledgeable in effective practices. And in recent research, when it comes to consumer literacy and the habit-forming years of the students, grades 7 through 12. We're having difficulty in our state getting the recognition that we are the trained professionals in the schools because individuals are looking at those that have the most marketing dollars coming in, saying we have the key to success in your schools. And so I wondered if your department had considered supporting or acknowledging that there are individuals already trained in our schools for 7-12.
Yeah, we are actually developing a very robust K through 12 initiative right now. I don't know off the top of my head if recognition for consumer and finance, but you can be assured that I will take that back.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I think we have one more. Do we have enough time for one more? Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Susan mentioned the Taking It to the Streets initiative, and the idea behind the initiative was to embrace a current issue and take family and consumer sciences research and skills to the streets. The strength that we have is that we reach many numbers, we reach many students, cooperative extension reaches many people through their workshops, universities reach many people. What I would like to propose to you is that we work together. What we usually do with Taking It to the Streets is to compile a list of resources, places people can go to, and people I'm meaning the family and consumer sciences professionals, to get the information to the streets. And bottom line is not just the fact that the resources are there, but that we find practical delivery systems for getting them there. So while you can be a resource to us, I think we can be a resource to you, and I would like to discuss that with you, and I'm sure many people in this room feel strongly about that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree wholeheartedly. Thank you. Well, looks like, can I do one more? Okay. Okay, this is really it, because you guys are going to get me in trouble.
Could you do me a favor and put your screen back up that had your email and your phone number and that stuff, because I didn't get it down. Thank you.
There it is. Thanks, Bobby. All right, thank you all very, very much. I appreciate your time this morning, and I hope you enjoyed the rest of your conference.
Thank you, Cassandra. Your information is very helpful as we think about our programs. Remember, she is encouraging us to take this back to our local communities and engage and let our students be informed. We can do that through our educational classes at the land-grant universities, at the other universities, or all universities. You heard Marilyn's work at the mic. And also, let me know, too, how we can help you. So thank you, Cassandra, for making the trip from Washington, D.C., and we look forward to engaging with you often. At this time, I would like to welcome President-elect Sue Buck, CFCS, and past President Sue Bird, CFCS, and the incoming Board of Directors to join me. The election and installation of the new Board of Directors is an exciting time. It's a time of celebration. It's a time for us to congratulate. And, of course, we're very happy to have always fresh and new leadership. Today, you all begin to lead our AAFCS, and this is to you, Board of Directors. Today, you begin to lead our AAFCS to new heights of accomplishments. Although the new board does not officially take office till after Senate, which is later on this morning, it is a privilege for us to have this swearing-in ceremony at this time. Would Sue Buck join me at the podium as I administer the oath of office? And Sue's first name actually is Marilyn, and so for us to make this official, I will be saying Marilyn Sue. Marilyn Sue, you have been informed of the responsibilities of the office of President. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Marilyn Sue Buck, CFCS,
I, Marilyn Sue Buck, CFCS,
do solemnly promise to perform faithfully the duties of the Office of President
do solemnly promise to perform faithfully the duties of the Office of President
and to uphold the mission of the Association, its bylaws and policies,
to uphold the mission of the Association, its bylaws and policies,
and to support the decisions of the Board of Directors.
and to support the decisions of the Board of Directors.
You have an outstanding new president. Let's give her a round of applause. At this time, Sue Bird, CFCS, in her capacity as the 2011-2012 past president, will minister the oath of office to the 2012-13 Board of Directors. Sue?
Thank you. The following people will comprise the AAFCS Board of Directors for 2012-13. Sue Buck, CFCS President. Peggy Wild, CFCS President-elect. Sister Victoria Marie Gribshaw, CFCS Treasurer. Jane Walker, Director of Affiliates. Shirley Hyman Parker, Director at Large. Bev Card, CFCS Director at Large. Genevieve Schroeder, CFCS Director at Large. Brittany Trotter, Student Unit Chair, and Susan S. Shockey, CFCS Past President. Our Executive Director, Carolyn Jackson, CFCS, serves as an ex officio member of the board and was sworn in when she accepted the position in 2007. 2012 and 13 board members, you have all been informed of the responsibilities of the office for which you were elected. Please raise your right hand and repeat the oath of office after me. I do solemnly promise to perform faithfully the duties of the office to which I have been elected. To uphold the bylaws and policies of the association. And to support the decisions of the Board of Directors. Congratulations to our 2012-13 AAFCS Board of Directors. Kylie, now it's back to you.
Let me add my congratulations to the new board members as well. Your leadership and service will empower the association achievements as we move into the future. At our Pacesetter dinner this evening, we will have another opportunity to recognize leaders in our field, to learn from their stories, and to be inspired by their passion and dedication. Over the past few days, we've been able to connect with peers, learn from colleagues, and become inspired once again by the purpose of our profession. As we close our Capstone General Session, let's take this opportunity to begin looking toward our 104th Annual Conference and Expo next year in Houston, Texas. In doing so, I'd like to welcome to the stage Jaylee Beckenhauer, CFCS, and Janet Rodriguez from the Lone Star State to share with us some information on the location of our next annual conference.
From NBC News, this is Today with Lester Holt and Amy Robach. Live from Studio 1A in Rockefeller Plaza.
Houston is a place to be.
Janice, thanks. This morning we began a special month-long series, What's So Great About Some of America's Favorite Cities. Today, Houston, Texas is on our radar. The sprawling city is known for its professional sports teams, barbecue, the Johnson Space Center, but there's a whole lot more to Houston than meets the eye. It's fall in Houston, which means the mercury is dropping and the pace is picking up in America's fourth biggest city. Visitors to Houston know about the rodeo, the Johnson Space Center, and the nearby beaches. But they may not know about these 36-foot-tall statues of the Beatles, the latest creations of Houston artist David Addix. While you're at his place, check out his presidential lineup, all 43 of them. How about a house made entirely of beer cans? Its owner and builder died several years ago, but it's now being restored as a public arts attraction. And then there's Houston's makeover of a long-ignored Buffalo Bayou into an urban oasis. A canoe ride through the steel skyscrapers of downtown Houston was something I didn't expect. From ballet to a vibrant music scene, Houston has a story to tell. And music star Clint Black, who, when he's not on the road belting out country hits, is singing the praises of his hometown.
There's a different attitude. There's a friendliness here.
What do you like to eat in Houston?
Well, I miss the Tex-Mex because I travel so much. So when I go home, I usually, it's either Pappasitos or barbecue.
I've been Pappasitos, very good.
Very, very good. Good company barbecue.
My friend Clint Black sent me. I hear the brisket's really good. To feed your cultural senses, Houston's walkable museum district is among the largest in the country.
We'd like to say in Houston, what goes on in Vegas stays in Vegas. What happens in Houston, we want the world to see.
And that's why we're here, is to invite you to come on down and see what Houston has to offer. Like many of you from your state, we are very proud of our big state of Texas, and we want to show it off to you. We're going to welcome you with open arms, big smiles. We are bold in life, and we are very dramatic in the way we approach things. So, as my daddy always said, the latch string is hanging on the outside. Do any of you, have you heard that saying? Do you know what it means? Before we had keys and locks, they had a hole in the door and a latch string, and at night they would pull it in and secure it so that unwanted people could not come in. And when you say the latch string's hanging on the outside, you push that out so that anybody can come up, open the door, and come on in. And that's the invitation we're issuing to you.
We look forward to seeing you in Houston in 2013 as we focus on embracing and managing change through family and consumer sciences. Y'all come.
This brings our Capstone General Session to a close. For those of you with us online, I hope you enjoyed this live broadcast and that you decide to join us next year in person in Houston. I have a few new announcements before we go. For those of you who are attending the Pacesetter dinner this evening, I'd like to remind you that the doors will open for seating at 7 p.m. In order to facilitate everyone being seated, we ask that you not save seats for those who are not in attendance when the doors open. I really appreciate your cooperation in this matter. Also, I want to remind you to please bring your dinner ticket. You will not be admitted into the dinner without your ticket. It was in your registration packet, so if you don't have it, go back in your registration packet and hopefully you'll be able to find it. I hope that you'll agree with me that this year has been an annual conference experience to remember. AAFCS would love to hear your stories about your conference participation. As you leave, please take a flyer from one of our volunteers at the exit doors. This flyer explains what information we are collecting and how these stories will be used to help promote conference attendance next year. Thank you for joining us this morning. Have another great day of connecting with colleagues and learning theories, techniques, and delivery systems that will allow you to touch the lives of individuals, families, and communities. I look forward to seeing many of you tonight for the Pacesetter Dinner.